Hi there, YouTube community. It is Connie Kercher. I serve as an elite entrepreneur coach. We are going to dive into a really tried and true, I'd say, topic that is so something that I'm passionate about, really want to model for you all and give you some tactics. So if you've never heard of any of my trainings or any of my content, again, I really come alongside women, female business owners that really want to level up and not be employees, and they want to serve now as full-time CEOs in their business. And there's just a gap, right? There's a gap in terms of the skill set. And so for today's training, we're going to talk about creating high performance CEO routines. And I say this with an asterisk. Okay. So any of my trainings, any of my content, any of the research that, I dive into and then give you some tangible strategies for, it's always to be able to put, through the lens of where you're at in your business, put it through the lens of where your strengths actually lie. So I'm not a big believer, and I do not coach clients to be like, this is the exact formula, or this is the exact, duplication you have to do. I don't believe that allows you to steward your gifts and steward the resources and what you can leverage differently. So I always say this, with kind of a caution when I talk about routines or frameworks or best practices, is that you still have to do the due diligence of thinking that through of where you're at and what you can actually sustain, let's say for all of 2025. Okay. So I've already put the disclaimer in there. And again, if you ever are in a space where you are wanting strategy coaching, you're wanting a place of accountability, you're wanting to really build that self-efficacy as a female CEO, please put in the comment section below or click the link in the bio, as that will go directly to my calendar and we can set up a time for a consultation. So let's dive into the training and let's talk about this creating high performance CEO routines. So I want you to take, again, I'm a big believer of you got to get out of your head and on to paper. So take some notes as you're watching this training, is that I know success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues I've ever discovered when I'm working with six-figure and seven-figure business owners is that your routine will determine your results. Okay. And there's no, secret sauce in that. There's no what if, this works or doesn't work. Is when you really start to refine your routine, is when you get sustainable, consistent over time results. That is ultimately, as a CEO, where you're wanting to move your routines. Okay. So in today's training, I am going to break down how to best structure your day like a CEO, not an employee anymore. And I also honor every day is not going to look exactly the same in these three frameworks I'm going to share with you. But my ask is maybe you start with 2 days a week where you're serving as a full-time CEO. And then maybe the other three, you are interacting with clients, you're doing additional, techniques as more of the employee side of your business. That's okay. But I want you to not just jump on this as another productivity hack or as another, I can work, easier, if you will, because it's all going to take practice. It's all going to take deep work to then figure out what this routine looks like for you. So it's not going to be cookie cutter, but ultimately my desire is for you to create a sustainable strategy and multiple strategies that support your big goals for this year. Okay. So I'm going to take a little scroll down my notes here and give you the three that I reflected on, wrote down, and then kind of revised for today's trainings. And this is kind of me looking back on the last couple of years of really what have I leaned into in my client sessions, and I kind of synthesized it from there. Okay, so this isn't coming from what if in 2025, maybe we should try in 2025. This is coming from about 3 years of data. And again, if you know me, kind of a data-driven person, of what I call this, what I've seen work in multiple different service-based industries. And so I want to synthesize them today for you. So the first one is called, write this down, morning power block. And so what you do in that morning power block, I would not do it longer than 45 minutes. just saying, okay, is that this is your strategic thinking time before you open up emails, before you set into getting onto meetings or sales conversations. And it really is meant for you to be revenue generating activities. So you do the strategic thinking and then you actually lean into and go, okay, what's my leadership priorities for the day? What do I need to get done as the CEO? And it's your power block. It's your time where you are not, reactive. It's you making sure that you are doing big picture, move the scale forward for the initiatives and the priorities that are your business. So I have 12 priorities in my business, okay, for 2025 that I want to see to completion. I honor that it's not going to happen in 6 weeks or 16 weeks even. I am very diligent every day. I look at the 12 company priorities. And again, I'm a solopreneur. So when I say company, I mean me, myself, and I, that I desire to get completed by the end of this year. So in my morning power block, I'm really intentional to make sure that those 45 minutes has to be supporting number 7 and number, 8. If they don't, that is a different working session or a different strategy session or outreach session. I really align it with my big picture goals that need to get to completion by the end of 2025. Okay. So that's the first framework I want you to, again, customize for you and see what would serve you well. Second is the genius zone block. Write that down. The genius zone block. I've also called this your $10,000 an hour work that no one else can do. It is what you have high impact, high, efficacy in, high thought leadership in, and it is so your unique strengths, right? It's usually why and what you are monetized for. And as, time goes on in your business, we kind of just think like, it's just all work, right? And by having a genius zone block, it is me being really intentional to be like, my strategic relationships look like this. I'm going to do that time block as a CEO and do business development, right? BD over and over and over in my genius zone. So for an example, speaking is one of my number one gifts and talents, right? Trainings, doing this in a public speaking in a forum area where I would tell you, probably not my core genius zone would be always in written form. Okay. So you don't see a lot of my strategies in the way that, I educate on my platforms is typically not in a lot of written form. Okay. Because that's my $10,000 an hour, expertise area. Like that has been 20 years in the making, refining and teaching and educating and training that is my genius zone block. So I'm constantly doing video format. I'm constantly doing trainings for other companies, right? Like this is where I know it is my highest impact and aligns with ultimately where my strengths lie, my gifts to this world, and where I can move the most traction in the business. Okay. So it's your genius zone block. And if maybe you need to start with just an activity of being like, I've never thought about that, Connie. What are only the 5 honest strategic relationship or business development projects only you can do? You can't outsource it to a human. You can maybe get, help with maybe the graphics, or help with maybe some technical parts, okay, or some audio visual parts or some platform parts. Like I honor that may not be your genius zone, but I'm talking about the why people reach out to you, right? What are you on mission for? And are you doing that genius zone block multiple times a week? Okay. Last but not least is a section where I am doing energy management as a CEO. So this is where I am literally looking at my calendar and making sure I have strategic breaks throughout the day set on my calendars. Can I get an amen to all those? I'm making sure on a monthly basis, I have strategic days off and half days off to reset, to recover, not only from CEO life, but from personal life. And then I also make sure that I have my delegation check-ins, throughout the month and throughout the quarter, so that I don't just start a initiative, a conversation, a follow-up, and I don't know when that next appointment is going to fall on the books. I am prioritizing that in my energy management to go, I really want anything that's more strategic partnerships or anything that's not only in my one-on-one coaching kind of side of energy and being on and preparing for that. I typically do those only on Thursdays, and I don't see my main entrepreneur clients ever on Thursdays. So I can manage the energy it is to do different types of leadership trainings and marketing trainings and sales trainings. That's a different part of my skill set. I don't want to just weave that in, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and possibly Saturday. Okay. So again, I'm looking at the calendar. When I do energy management as a CEO time block, I'm honestly acting as if I am my executive assistant being like, can Connie sustain this for 6 weeks? This type of travel, this type of really extroversion that she's going to be on, how much recovery, how much preparedness time does she need? How much time will she need to debrief? And I'm constantly adjusting that as one of my time blocks to stay 6 steps ahead. And when I say 6 steps ahead, I really am meaning 6 weeks ahead. So, we're kicking off February if you're watching this, today when it goes live. If not, no stress and you're watching at a different time, but really doing an energy management system that I'm looking all the way through mid-March and going, all right, can Connie do her high performance, sessions here, meetings here, speaking engagements here, virtual networking here, downtime here. And I'm always making sure that I'm supporting me in this energy management time. So I don't just go for 4 days. And then by default, I'm having to reset or cancel or shift things. No one likes that feeling as a CEO. Like you don't like to feel when you are just slipping. I always call it that slipping side. Part of your skill set as a CEO, when we talk about the routine, is energy management. You have to start figuring out what that looks like for you. Okay. So, in conclusion, for today's training, I'd love for you to put in the comment section out of that first one, the second one, or the third one, the morning power block, the genius zone block, or the concept of, energy management and you getting proactive in there. Which one resonates with you? Which one do you want to take and actually build into your CEO routine, or you want to start, chewing on and start practicing and start really getting clear on what that looks like for you? Because remember that your calendar is a direct correlation. It is a tool for you to prioritize CEO time. And if you did a calendar audit, I could almost guarantee when I do this with my clients, they have almost like 2%, if that, of CEO time on their calendar. And then they ask, well, what does that mean? I just gave you 3 blocks of time with very clear descriptions of what those could look like. Because if your calendar is filled with other people's meetings, other people's emergencies, other people's initiatives, I'm going to just be very direct with you. If you've made it this far in the training, you're not operating as a CEO. Okay. I really encourage that 50% as you get better in this is already proactive CEO time. It's sustainable CEO time. You have, buffer time for you to be working on these high level relationships, high level, unique, genius zone times where you're monetizing that. You're available to do that type of work and you're not sucked down from the energy management side, from the genius zone side, and from the morning, just diffusing by 2:00 and you're just in decision fatigue and you never get to step in to the CEO role. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you want some additional customized support and again, what your CEO day could look like, or you have struggled with it, it's an intangible skill set as entrepreneurs, right? Like a lot of what I coach and come alongside is yes, what I call the hard skill sets, but then there's these other like soft skill sets called leadership and self-management and, communication and prioritization. And so I really know that coming alongside high performing women is my genius zone, like really, understanding how that can work and when that gets too out of control and nothing then feels in control. And then again, you're building a business that you actually is the demise of you. That is what I'm trying to proactively, prevent. And, or if you're at that capping point, I'd love to coach you and, just give you some support and some techniques and strategies strategies to get back into that CEO rhythm so that you're building the sustainable initiatives and strategies that actually bring your services to marketplaces and being able to be a just a moment of you being proud of what you are producing. So I hope that this was helpful. Again, I am so blessed to have the YouTube family and just be able to do these trainings. Again, this is a gift of, my Genius Zone, being able to pour into so much of moving parts and skill sets and examples to provide you with a different, thought process, and hopefully steward some tactics that you can customize on your own. So if you have not subscribed, I don't know what's going on with you. Absolutely subscribe to Elite Entrepreneur Coach here on YouTube. You can absolutely follow me on Facebook or Instagram. And again, if I can be of support to you in any type of strategy coaching, marketing, sales, retention, follow-up, team dynamics, leadership, I'd love to be of service. So I will see you all next week for another CEO training. Bye, y'all.